What's up, boys? It's Nick from Team Table 501 here. I'm the king of the scrubs, and today I wanted to make a video about something that's been on my mind recently. Now, as you know, I went to the Garden City Regional, I got my ass beat, and so I've just been trying any possible configuration of Monarchs as I'm going to my locals tomorrow night, and I wanted to see if I was missing anything, or if somebody out there had discovered some good tech card that breaks the format, or at least breaks Monarchs to the point where they can compete in the format. So I was going through deck profiles. Some I left comments on, some I did not. But I saw a lot of them were playing Mithra the Thunder Vassal. And in this video, I would just like to go over, just in case anybody watches it, or at least any Monarch players watch it, why I think Mithra the Thunder Vassal is a terrible card. I'm going to go over my argument, the counter argument, and then I'm going to come to the conclusion, or at least come to a conclusion, and hopefully I'll be able to persuade some of you guys to not put Mithra the Thunder Vassal in your deck. So let's go over my argument, first of all. So my argument is that Mithra the Thunder Vassal is a bad card is because it gives you extra garnets. I'll talk about that in a second. It gives your opponent a token. That is, god damn it, that is like, that's the last thing I want to be doing, giving my opponent a fucking token. Give my opponent a token. It also doesn't do anything when you tribute summon it unless your hand is already just fantastically busted. So let's break down those arguments one by one. So, garnets. What I mean is that, like I say in all my deck profiles, Edia, I wish I knew how to edit so I could put her up on the screen, but most of you already know what Edia is, so I'm perfectly fine here. Edia is the best tribute fodder you can draw in Monarchs. It gives you 2 monsters on the field to tribute summon, and it has a graveyard effect that gives you card advantage, which is something you need in the mid to late game against these super powerful decks. Now, the reason I call Eidos a Garnet is because he doesn't do anything on his own. Edia does something on her own. She provides you with board presence, assuming she doesn't get Ash Blossom. That's not the point of this. But Edia gives you board presence as where Eidos does not. It only means that you can only tribute summon for a 6-star instead of a 8-star monster. And that's the point. You need to resolve an 8-star monster to generate the card advantage that can get you going in the early game. Ooh, my bad. Excuse me. It's just been a really long day for me. I'm super tired, but I need to get this out. So, now let's take Mithra in the same vacuum, right? Mithra on her own only lets you tribute summon a 6-star monarch, either being Karaz, any of the shitty ones that I know people like to play, Majesty's Fiend, Vanity's Fiend, whatever the card may be, it only lets you tribute summon a 6-star monster. Now, yes, while those monsters are incredibly powerful, and some can just outright win the game, Vanity's Fiend, you know, they're relatively weak. You know, 2400 is not that hard to get over. Most decks can very easily just spit out a firewall, and that's on 25. But once you get to 28, and sometimes if you get to 36 with the domain, they're not killing that motherfucker. Like, they are just not. Like, that thing is sticking around on the board for at least your turn cycle, so there is that. The second argument. She gives your opponent a goddamn fucking token. I want to go over it more in the counter argument, as that's where the counter argument, like, that's the bulk of the counter argument. However, giving your opponent a token means that you just gave them a way to absorb an attack, because Monarchs are a relatively slow deck unless you can build up a board of a ton of Monarchs. But most of the time, it's going to be 1 Monarch and a domain, and you're just going to be punching for 28 a turn. Giving them a token means you just gave them an extra turn to draw into an out to your super powerful board. You don't want to do that. But again, the bulk of the counter argument is the Mithra token. I'll get into that shortly. And argument number 3 is that she only does something if your hand is already super busted. For example, so let's say you have a Mithra in hand, a Karaz, and an Erebus. Then Mithra's great, because you can go Mithra, give your opponent a token. I still don't want to do that. That's not the point of this argument. Summon Karaz. Karaz can blow up some cards, draw you 2 cards. And then when Mithra is tributed, you get an extra tribute summon. So then you can tribute summon the Erebus by tributing Karaz, since it was a tribute summon monster. Erebus will trigger, and it generates a lot of value that way. That's incredibly good. But now we're going to get into the counter argument here, and this is where, so here's why Mithra is good. She lets you do Erebus Thestalos shenanigans, argument number 1. Giving your opponent a token doesn't mean anything, argument number 2. And 3, it plays around evenly matched. So I'll do the Erebus Thestalos one first. It's the pretty easiest to understand. So for example, Let's say you have a Mithra, a Domain, an Erebus, and a Thessalos, or just Return or whatever. You go Special Mithra, give your opponent a token, activate Domain, make one of your Monarchs level 6, Tribute Summon it, make the Monarch Chainlink 1, Mithra Chainlink 2. You get an extra Tribute Summon, and in the case if it was Erebus, you get to spin a card out of their hand or take a card off their field, but if you're going first, it's a card out of their hand. Then you get to summon Thessalos, and you get 2 cards out of their hand. Okay, that's good. You know what? That's perfectly fine. I understand that. That's a really good play. You're putting your opponent on 4 cards, and you're possibly on 5 or 6. You went +1 on that, okay? I understand that argument, but it's a counter-argument for a reason, okay? My counter-argument to that is that the deck can already fucking do that. Now, yeah, it requires you to open 1 for 1, but you're going to open it eventually. Just statistically, you're going to open the combo of Erebus, a Monarch Spell or Trap, Thessalos, and 1 for 1 in a game eventually. So it's not the focal point of the deck. Now, yeah, I know. When Monarchs were at full power, they were playing hand loop control. I get it, all right? But we're in a format where you can't do that anymore. We're just not. Giving your opponent a token. I want to dissect the fuck out of this, all right? So their argument is that you can play Mithra because giving your opponent, and the evenly matched argument comes into this as well. So giving your opponent a token allows them, meaning they have a card on their field. Evenly matched means you get to keep 2 cards. Assuming they activate it and you built a board, right? But here's the thing. The token that you give off Mithra can be used for whatever the fuck they want. So, if you can't... So here's the thing with the token, right? If you can't establish Domain Lock or Vanity's Fiend, if you can't kill the token, if you can't establish Domain Lock, or your opponent breaks the Domain Lock, that token is a resource that you gave them for free to fuck you in the ass. Guess what that token can do? It can be used for a fucking Tribute Summon. And guess what Spirals can do? They can, assuming you don't have a Vanity's Fiend, they can just special Super Agent, and if they call it wrong, they can use the Super Agent and the token to Tribute Summon Master Plan, and now they can go off and screw you over. Is it likely to happen? No, but you just gave them the possibility of doing that because you gave them a goddamn token. Just why would you do that to yourself? Why would you give them an out to your domain? Why would you do that? Now, yes, technically, the token means that evenly matched gets slightly worse, but so what? The difference between 1 and 2 cards is jack shit. Alright, now yeah, depending on what the monster is, it is kind of important, because if it's an Erebus, you don't want to leave it by itself. But you can leave a Vanity's Fiend or a Majesty's Fiend by itself, because that in itself will win the game. But here's the thing, too, right? Mithra doesn't contribute to the game plan of the deck. She just doesn't, right? Giving my opponent a token means that if I don't establish Domain, because that's the whole point of my deck, is to establish either Domain or Vanity's Fiend and tell my opponent that they can't play their deck. Giving them a token means they can play their deck, and that's the exact opposite of what I came here to do. Is there anything that I'm possibly forgetting here? I don't think I'm missing anything here. I don't really think I am. But, I just wanted to get that off my chest. That was something I've been thinking about the last couple of days. I wanted to make a video about it, so... if I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be very happy to come around and answer any questions you have. But this is just my opinion. You don't have to listen to anything I say. However, I think I have brought up some very valid points, and I think I've broken down the counter-arguments very well into why Mithra the Thunder Vassal is a terrible card. Feel free to disagree. Feel free to play Mithra in your decks. Alright, there's no reason for you to listen to me. There just isn't, alright? I understand Mithra the Thunder Vassal has probably won someone out there a game. And you know what? I understand that. But we're trying to build the most consistent Monarch deck possible. And yes, I know, Monarchs are not a consistent deck due to the ban list. That's not the point of this discussion here. But Mithra the Thunder Vassal does not add consistency to the deck. Now, yes, Mithra raises your power level. I'm not denying that. She raises your power level through the fucking roof. But she takes away from your already lackluster consistency. So it just comes down to what you want, honestly. I still believe that Mithra the Thunder Vassal is a bad card, and she will always be a bad card. I would much rather put fucking Landrobe in my main deck than Mithra. Because at the very least with Landrobe, you can put something face down, and maybe you can solve a problem for maybe a turn. So that's just me. If I missed anything, please put in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What you guys think about Mithra the Thunder Vassal. My link to the link to my Twitter will be in the description of this video. Go follow me, all that shit. I post random card game stuff and school stuff, so if you want to follow me and look at my life, you can go do that. But that's about it for this video. My name is Nick from Team Table 501. Thanks for watching, and get good, plebs. I'll see you next time.